Hello, welcome to Miniature Realms. My name's Stuart. A really fun one this time. Let's talk about Blood Bowl Season 3. Miniature Realms is proudly sponsored by Counter-Attack Bases. They stock a wide range of counters, gaming aids and movement trays for multiple game systems, and offer custom items to suit your club, your event, or even your podcast or YouTube channel. Check out the link in the video description. I've been very lucky, and Games Workshop has very kindly sent me Season 3 and all of the launch stuff that goes with that, and we'll have a really good look at all of the stuff that's going up for pre-order today. If you're watching this on pre-order day when it goes live, if you're watching it afterwards, hopefully you've already ordered your Blood Bowl goodies. Blood Bowl holds a very special place in my wargaming heart. It wasn't long after discovering Fantasy Battle 3rd Edition and Rogue Trader that I fell into the trap of wanting to play every single game that Games Workshop made. At this point, this was the early 1990s, and I had a copy of 2nd Edition Blood Bowl at the time, obviously written by Jervis Johnson, and the wonderful handbook as well was written by Mark Gascoigne, I believe. I just loved the tongue-in-cheek history of this slightly alternate old world. Loads and loads of fun. I love the art style, very comic book at that time, and I really adored that polystyrene pitch. The teenager in me, the young teenager in me, just thought it was absolutely brilliant. But obviously that's not what we're here to talk about today. It's not a nostalgia video, it's to talk about the contents of this box and some of the other cool stuff that's been released at the same time. Along with the 3rd season starter box, I have also been sent both player card packs and both Spike magazines. That's issues 19 and 20, but we'll start by looking in the box. One of the first things I noticed, it's got Warhammer Blood Bowl on there now. I think that's new. It definitely wasn't on the logo for the 2nd season that I got on the shelf behind me. But we look at the box, it's very similar other than that. You've got a lot of the recognisable stylings in terms of the colour choices and things. Got this new frame for effects, but a lot of the other stuff you find inside the box is fairly recognisable, including all of these, which are exact copies from the previous edition. Not quite a fan of that range ruler, always found it a little bit too chunky. Used to quite like the acetate version that funny enough got back in 2nd edition and maybe a little bit beyond that as well. Just found to be quite practical. You've got the usual cardboard cover that you get these days to protect your goods inside, and we are mostly moved all over to cardboard and paper packaging inside as well, apart from the bases there. So that's the rule book, I'm guessing, in there. Your dice are in this little paper bag here as well. It's obviously better for the environment. I think it looks a lot nicer as well. And these dice are really quite nice. Sometimes the dice you get for free are a little bit boring. These are cool. That's your pitch and dugouts. Just wanted to give you a full unboxing experience for those people that are interested. I know some are. And there we have your full colour assembly guide, which is always good to see. Sometimes the black and white ones could be a little bit hard to follow with the newer miniature design. And then of course you've got your transfers or decals, whatever you like to call them, as well, 2 sets of those. But as we open up the first cardboard package, you can see the pitch. This one is double-sided, so you've got grass on the one side, and you've got your dugouts there as well, of course. But as an alternate to your grass for your human team, your Bretonian team, you've got this kind of slightly more dusty, barren effect as well, which is pretty cool. So this one is the rule book, all nicely protected inside of there. I do like that. It just stops them getting sort of dents and dinks on there. You've got 2 quick play sheets as well, one for Toon King's theme, one for Bretonians, but essentially they'll be the same for any team. Always handy just to follow along, and these are good quality ones as well. Always good for players who are new, or like myself, which is a bit more of an occasional player of Blood Bowl. I don't play it all the time, I play it very casually. But the book looks absolutely stunning at that first little flick through. The card packs are a really nice, fun little addition here. Obviously non-essential. You can use rosters and things as well. You've got some blank ones there. I imagine you can put them in card sleeves and write on them, whether that wipe off or not, I'm not so sure. But then you also have your fixed starter stats, which is really good. Again, if you're for a new player, you can just play with your cards there by the side, and then you've got some your special rules and actions and things as well, which is always good for a quick reference. Exactly the same for the Bretonnian team as well. So you've got some special actions and rules there with a reference sheet for your skills. Lots of the blank ones, so if you're playing a campaign or playing a league or something and your team progresses, you can keep changing if you wish to use this, and then you've got your set ones as well, and it's the starter ones are good, I think, for new players. Then we get on to the rule book. I'm going to give it a good flick through. It's slightly chunkier than the previous edition, but I think that's because a lot of the teams that were found in the Dead Zone expansion are going to be in this as well. Really nicely presented throughout. That's something that really stands out for me. Lots of full color pictures, lots of pictures of the miniatures in game situations as well, which I think is really quite nice. The lore's really fun and easily laid out. The artwork's got lots of charm to it as well. So if you're a Blood Bowl fan and you like the way the game's developed over the years and the art style and things, that hasn't changed at all. Nothing to worry about there. If anything, there's a bit more of it. It feels like this is a bit more bling in terms of the amount of artwork in there. Only subtly different, but it feels really nice. I was definitely very impressed. It's an enjoyable book to flick through for that reason. You move into some of the basics of what you've got in the set, and again, if you're a new player, this just shows you what all the kit does and what it means in the game. So you're starting to learn some rules there. And then you learn to a little bit of an introduction to the rules more than anything else. So the most important rule, code of conduct, and then your general principles for the game. So just some of the basic things you'll hear a lot, re-rolls, that kind of stuff, how to use your scatter templates and the way it all works, and then a nice little breakdown of the characteristics and your player statuses as well. Distracted here is something new without being new at all. It's just a coverall name now, which just stops the repetition of certain rules with different names, and we see that in a lot of Warhammer games. And I love these fun little adverts that you see throughout the book. And then we move into the rules, and it's not my intention to turn this into a how to play video. There will be better ones out there doing that already, but I wanted to give you a little bit of a flick through and just give you some of my first impressions. I played a couple of games and it just feels the same. Essentially, Blood Bowl hasn't changed. There's some stuff around the periphery. I've already mentioned the distracted rule. There's been some changes to the rosters, which we'll talk about maybe a little bit later on as well, but the rules are really nicely laid out. It's one of the things that they set out in the articles and said that they did, and they have. They're easy to read, easy to understand, especially as a more casual player like myself coming back, having not played the game for a year or so, and I think they're really nice. And I love those big full colour pictures as well. Team roster sheet there if you want to photocopy it. It would have been nice to see that as a page in the construction booklet for the miniatures, so it's easier to rip out and get photocopied, but a minor thing. Lots more fun art, but essentially I just really like the way that it's been presented. The chapters are fairly short, means if you are new to the game and you're trying to learn it, you can take it chunk by chunk and slowly read it through. I know some people devour the rules all in one go. If you're like me and you prefer painting miniatures and prefer reading lore and things, sometimes reading rules can be a bit dry. So the way they are divided up in this book, I didn't find that at all. I didn't find it was too much to absorb, and everything's broken down into chapters that just make sense. A few pages on match play explain what match play is, and if you're new to Games Workshop, you may not understand. If you play other Games Workshop systems, you get it. It's generally the same for different games. Here you can see the breakdown of the tiers. So teams are still tiered in 4, and the number of skill points changes depending on those, and purchasing skills, etc. as well. And then we've got the number of star players that can be limited. So it's all there, easy to read. But of course, not everything's about match play. We have exhibition play as well, and you can see there's more full color pictures here, loads and loads of artwork, and not all that much text in some places, which just makes it easier to absorb, and talks about being creative and playing historical games and things, something that a bit of a fluffy player like myself really enjoys all of this stuff. And then we move on to the new skills and traits section. Nice and easy to see, really nicely spaced out. Skill tables are easy to read as well, and I'm not going to read out all of the different skills to you. Again, I'll let you pick up the books and read them yourself and work out whether they changed from before. I don't play enough to spot the odd subtle change here or there, so I'm not even going to try and attempt it. I couldn't really find anything that I felt was missing from the book through my first read through. Again, if you're a competitive player, then you may well have things, and please do let me know in the comments below if you think that there's something that's been omitted from the rules. But like I said, just very happy with the way it's presented and laid out, and as someone who's a returning player in many ways coming back to it, it just felt pretty familiar, and reading the rules just felt pretty clear compared to maybe not always that way with some of the previous editions. Team rosters is one of those areas that's had a little bit more chatter around prior to the launch, after a couple of the articles basically made it clear that your rosters are limited to what's in your starting boxes. So I imagine there'll be quite a few people interested in seeing what's been omitted from their teams. Maybe you've been running a particular team for a number of years and you want to find out whether it's been impacted or not. And again, I'm not going to spend an awful lot of time going through this team by team. This is supposed to be an overall kind of review for people who are interested in getting into the game or picking up the new edition. And I'm sure there are channels out there that will give you a really detailed rundown, maybe a whole video just on each team by themselves. The final section in the book is the star players. Nice little group shot of them all together, and then you've got all your star player stats, and you can basically look like cards. I imagine that this will be a pack that comes out. Looking at the way they're presented, I might be completely wrong there, but I imagine there will be more releases to follow up this, and there will be a star players pack or something like that. Maybe there'll be packs for all the teams, which will be interesting. I can imagine they'll want to do that. Maybe they'll just wait for new Rebox teams or something. Who knows? But we are at the end of the book, and very pleased with it. As a sort of a more casual player, they look great. So next up we have Spike issues 19 and 20, and these are really fun. I've not owned these in a physical format before. I bought some of the digital almanacs, which I believe sort of put all these in together, but a really nice thing. They're 30 odd pages, semi-thick cover. They're like high quality magazines, I suppose, but there's lots of fun information in them. I don't think these are absolutely essential, but you may want to pick up the one for your team as they come out. I'm not sure whether the existing editions are still valid in terms of the rules, whether they work with the new edition. I've got a feeling they might do, because these are issued 19 and 20, so it feels like the basis of the game, of course, hasn't changed. So maybe most of the rules and things that are in there, and a lot of it isn't rules. A lot of it is fun stuff. There's lore in there. There's a little bit about basic setups. There are stats and things in there as well, and some ideas. But as like I said, it's not essential for playing your team. But if you're really into a particular faction, particular team, you're going to want to pick one of these up, I'm sure, or wait for the digital versions. Though we haven't had any digital books from SDS for quite a while now, so I don't know not quite sure what's going on there, so hopefully that will happen again soon. But these are really nice things, and if you didn't pick up the starter box because you're an existing player, picked up the new rules, you might want to pick these up because they're just really fun things to own. That's all the rules content side of the releases, what's in the box and those additional card packs and the Spike magazines as well. But let's have a look at all the plastic that you get inside the box. So these are the new condition markers, and you have the ball marker there, which I think is something that's been available, something similar third party for a while, which is pretty cool. There's just one ball on here, and that clips into the ball holder as well. Then you've got your Bretonian teams. Each of the teams prunes is identical, so you've got two lots of the same thing. Lots of bits squeezed on here. There are a few left over at the end as well, so if you're a Bretonian old world player, there are a few heads and bits you might be able to use. Very similar with the Tomb Kings as well, so two identical frames there with all your bits on there. And there are a couple less bits on these because they have more miniatures, but a couple of bits left over that might be fun to use in a Tomb Kings army if you're an old world player. In many ways, building modern day Games Workshop miniatures is a lot easier with the end product. There's less mold lines to remove. They're really nicely engineered. The other side of that is they take an awful lot longer. You can't cut all the arms off and have them on one pile and all the legs, etc., and stick them all together. I tend to find, even though I've been building miniatures for many years now, that I have to follow the instructions because of the way they're engineered, and it's no different with these new Blood Bowl miniatures. I was able to build these in twos. You've got identical frames and pretty much identical builds for each miniature type. There are a few different variations in these, which is quite nice as well. So you've got a couple of different head options on most of the linemen. You get a little bit of different variation here or there, which is pretty good. But other than that, I didn't have any issues with them at all. The actual Bretonnian lineman was some of the easiest miniatures that I've built by Games Workshop, and this year probably very easy to go together, clip together quite nicely. I didn't have to play around too much and try and work out where they aligned. I did like the little options and things you've got to add that variation to them. So a big 10 out of 10 for these ones. The Tomb Kings are pretty good as well. I was a little bit concerned that with the nature of them being bones and having smaller contact points, that they would be tricky, but I didn't have any issues with them either, really, especially the linemen. They went together extremely well. I tended to find by working on the body and the legs first, not on this one on the screen now, but working on the bodies and legs first and then super gluing that to a base, gave me a little bit more to hold on to so that I could continue to build the rest of the miniature and not have to wait for everything to dry fully. Otherwise you've got a lot of little miniatures on the go. But again, even smaller arms like this, because of the shoulder guard or something, they had nice little plugs and just didn't have any issues at all potting them together. Nice little bit of variation here with the heads, and with the Tomb Kings I found you could just switch and bend an arm slightly as well. A few little things like the backs of the shoes of the thrower, little fiddly parts, but nothing too bad that would really put you off. And overall, I think these are a pretty stunning set of Blood Bowl miniatures. You may or may not like the aesthetics, might prefer previous editions, etc., but I'm a big fan of these. I think these are really nice miniatures, and I was able to get enough variation between most of them. Now there are a couple of areas I think that they could have improved it slightly. The Tomb Kings, all the variation was in the linemen and with the mummies. When you got to the throwers and your blitzers, they only really had one build without alternate heads, which I felt was a bit of a shame. If you're going to have an alternate head somewhere, I'd rather have it on a player that does a little bit more, gets remembered a bit more, like a thrower or something like that. Extremely minor quibble there, and I probably could have done more to repose them or something, so I'd have liked to have seen an alternate head for the throwers and these blitzers here. But aside from that, no problem at all, and I probably would have swapped them over with something else and it would have been fine. The little extras are really cool. The little cat ball thing for the mummies is brilliant. All in all, I think this is a really strong looking release. If you are someone who's been tempted by Blood Bowl for quite some time, it looks like a really good time to jump in, or a returning player to jump back into the game. Like I said, I do play, but I play at home with my wife and my kids and things. I don't tend to play in any leagues, so I'm not too worried about or aware of all of the competitive nuances at the moment. So my view comes from that side. Some of the changes in the game are around the teams rather than the core. So the core game is essentially the same, and it just looks very much cleaned up and presented in a better way. I think the books are absolutely stunning. The amount of colour artwork in there and pictures of painted miniatures is really good as well, including sort of full game shots. I think that's really nicely handled and really stood out to me, even though objectively from a sort of a quick flick through it's very much the same visually as it was for the previous edition. I think that this is slightly better. I think they've moved it up from an 8 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10 in its presentation, in my opinion. Let me know what you think of that in the comments below, and let me know what you think about the sort of the changes to the rosters and teams and things, because maybe players that play in club leagues or even competitively further afield might have more opinions on that. But overall, I think it's a really nice sort of initial launch. And I guess it is difficult with a game like Blood Bowl that you know you're not going to change too much, because you don't want to change too much. The game's popular as it is, but you want to refresh it and relaunch it to hopefully get players re-engaged or new players in. From a commercial perspective, you've got to do that to keep the game alive as well, but also keep all of the old hands happy and not change the game so much that it's
unrecognizable. This isn't a 3-year cycle game like 40k or Age of Sigmar, where there's risks taken with each edition, and some editions really are not very well received. This isn't what's happened here. So if you're concerned about that, you've got nothing to worry about at all. It actually feels like the changes they've made, things like the distracted rule, it's essentially not added any new rules at all. It's just grouped lots together under one term, so it's a lot easier to understand and a bit more streamlined. And what they've done, aside from changes to the rosters, really, is to represent the rules in a clearer way to read them. And I've definitely noticed that as a player that doesn't play as much as some of the competitive players out there. I'm not in any club leagues or anything like that. I play mostly at home and then occasional sort of casual games with friends that also play a bit of Blood Bowl. It's very much a side game for me, but something I've got an awful lot of passion for, because it's always been there as a side game. It's always been a box on the shelf in my gaming rooms over the years, and it will continue to be that. And I'm just looking at this as a new edition, and I don't feel like, oh, well, what have they done to it? The game was really good. It still feels really good, and it feels like a really nice improvement on what they had before. I'm sure if you're watching this far, you're interested in Blood Bowl already. You've been keeping an eye on Warcom, and you've seen the articles already which outline a lot of the changes or the non-changes to the game, the subtle adjustments like the distracted rule, etc. The changes that the team rosters will no doubt be one of the biggest parts of the conversation, especially for tournament and league players in their local clubs, because their teams may well now look very different than they did before. I'm lucky it doesn't really affect me on the way I play at home. I pretty much play starter box teams anyway. That's just the way it works when I play casually. So I'm quite lucky. I can look at it through the lens of all of these really cool shiny new things and a nice easy to read rule book, and it doesn't affect me at all. So I am interested in the other side of the argument. If people are a little bit upset about those changes, very politely, of course, but put your point of view across in the comments below, because I am interested. I think as a fan of wargaming in general, whenever we have a new edition, there is change, things change. Generally, it's good for the game. It changes up the meta a little bit and mixes things up, and it doesn't feel like the baby's been chucked out with the bathwater with this edition at all. I may be wrong, but it just doesn't feel like that. And I think that there will be a few people, of course, that are a little upset that they're not able to take the same amount of gutter runners or whatever it happens to be in their Skaven team. But I think once it all settles down, I think it'll all be fine as well. And it's looking pretty rosy, I think. So I'll stop rambling now. Let me know what you think in the comments. Give the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. There will be a bit more Blood Bowl on the channel, not loads and loads going forward, but there'll definitely be some painting videos. You'll have noticed in this video that I haven't showed you any painting miniatures. I do a lot of painting on this channel. It's just because I physically haven't had time to get them painted before I go away on holiday. Actually, I'm recording this a little bit before the NDA date and the pre-order date for the box set itself. So after you've seen this video, you may well see some painted miniatures in a video coming very shortly after this one, maybe just 2 or 3 days afterwards. But in real time that I'm recording this right now, I'm about to go away and I haven't got time to paint them until I get back, so we will see. But I will definitely do a painting video for the Bretonnias and for the Tomb Kings, and I may well do a little bit more in the future if people really enjoy them. I'd love to dig into some of those other teams. So if people are interested and the videos get enough views that it makes it worthwhile me doing it and producing it for you all, let me know in the comments, and I'll definitely keep doing it because it's always great fun. And as I said at the beginning of the video, I've got a lot of time and a lot of love for Blood Bowl, so I'm happy to do more Blood Bowl content. If you'd like to support me and the channel, please do check out all the links in the video description. My Patreon there is the very best way you can support me. Thank you to all my existing patrons. There's a link for the Warhammer merch store as well. It's an affiliate link, which gives me a little bit of a kickback. And it's a great time of year for picking up calendars for next year, or presents and things, mugs. And there's loads of new Blood Bowl related stuff as well. So do go and check out all the stuff on there. Also check out the channel sponsor, Counter Attack Bases. They make loads and loads of great gaming aids and custom dice as well. But thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you soon.